Hello, students. Welcome back to your history class. I am Mrs. Jenny Shah, and today we discuss the question and answers of Chapter 10 Displacing Indigenous People. In this chapter, we learned about North America and Australia. We learned about the European colonies in the North America and Australia, formation of the settling societies, dis- displacement as well as repression of the local people. And we also learned about the historian's view on the impact of European settlement on the indigenous population. Now, you students must have sensitized yourselves to the process of the displacement that accompanied the development of America and Australia, and also understood the implication of the processes for these displaced population. Now we will quickly go through some question and answers of this chapter. Question 1, define imperialism and name different European countries which promoted imperialism. Imperialism means subjugation. Subjugation of one country by another or countries by fair or foul means. It includes political occupation along with social domination and economic exploitation of the native people by the imperial powers. Under it, the resources of the occupied land are fully exploited for the benefit of the people of the advanced countries. The name of some imperialist countries are Portugal, Spain, England, France, Holland. Next question, give a brief account of North America. North America is the third largest continent after Asia and Africa. It is the leading country of the world as far as economic prosperity is concerned. North America is located in the northern hemisphere and it spreads between 7 degrees north to 89 degrees north latitudes and between 59 degrees to 180 degrees west longitude. Arctic Ocean lies to its north, Atlantic Ocean to its east, and Pacific Ocean to the west. The United States of America, Canada, and Mexico are the vast countries located on this continent. It is almost triangular in shape, and Panama Isthmus separates it from the South America. So this is a short description of North America that we provide. Similarly, give a brief account of South America. South America is the fourth largest continent after Asia, Africa, and North America. 2/3 of its part lies in the southern hemisphere. It is situated between 21 degrees east to 55 degrees latitude and between 30 degrees to 82 degrees longitude. It is linked with North America by the Panama Isthmus. Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador are some of its major countries. South America, Central America, Mexico, and Western Island Group is known by the name of Latin America. Okay, next, give a brief account of Australia. Australia is the smallest continent of the world. It lies between 10 degrees south to 40 degrees south as the latitudes and 114 degrees east to 154 degrees east in the longitudes. Australia is surrounded by the Pacific Ocean on the east and Indian Ocean on the west. It is divided into 6 self-governed states and 2 centrally governed territories: Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, Southern Australia, Western Australia, and Tasmania. Northern Territory and Australia Capital Regions are the centrally governed areas. Next, we are going to talk about differentiate between the native people of North America and South America. This is also asked, it's also a part of your textbook. It's a textbook-based question. Natives, so when you start such an answer, you first explain the meaning of the word native. Native are those people who are born at the place of their present residence. Southern and Northern America are such vast continents that there might be some differences between their residents. They have their own lifestyles, which took thousands of years to develop. Their main differences can be seen, and then you can point them out. The following are the main differences that can be seen. Number 1, the natives of Northern America are interested in hunting, fish catching, and gathering. They do not do farming on a big scale, nor do they stockpile the food grain. They travel long distances to hunt wild buffaloes. The main occupation of the natives of the Southern and Central America is farming, though at times they do hunt animals and catch fishes. South America is the home of maize. Point number 2. The first point of difference was occupation. Point number 2. As the natives of North America did not do farming on a large scale, they could not produce surplus food. So they did not establish an empire. People of Central and South America established vast empires like the Maya Empire, Aztec Empire, and the Inca empires. Next question. Why was the history of Australian native people left out of the history books? A very interesting question. Again, a question from your textbook, question number 6 from your textbooks. There were many reasons behind this fact. First reason is Australia was discovered by Captain Cook, and when a native killed the cook, it strained the relationship that had begun to develop in the very beginning between the natives of Australia and the European settlers. Hence, no one attempted to give information about the natives. Point number 2. Only the adjacent part of the seashore of Australia was inhabited, and the interior was then a dry desert. When European settlers tried to push out the natives of Australia from their area, battles took place between the two sides. This further embittered the relationship between them, and so no one endeavored to write about the natives of Australia. Third reason. Only the criminals from the Europe were sent to Australia. The only condition imposed on them was that they would never return to their country after the expiry of their sentence. So they let loose their anger on the natives of Australia. Since they couldn't go back to their own country and they had to stay in Australia, they pushed out the natives from their lands by force. This led to an atmosphere of hatred. The natives of Australia were hence not included in the history book. It was only after 1968 that this mistake was realized and equal rights were now given to the natives of Australia, and they were given a proper place in the history. What did the frontier mean to the Americans? For Americans, the word frontier did not mean any fixed boundary line, but it did mean ever changing and extending boundary lines. After the American Revolution or the War of Independence that took place between England and American settlers, the Americans gained independence from the slavery of England. Then they began to expand towards the west. If there was any frontier for them, it was the boundary towards the west, because in the east they were already perched along the shores of the Atlantic Ocean and their border was secure. Thus, if there was any frontier, it was towards the west, which they ever kept extending, and by the end of the 19th century, they had reached the Atlantic Ocean. Now, there was no frontier for them, which they could pull towards the west for several decades. How are the museums useful? Museums are repositories of our ancient heritage. They play an important part in the preservation of our ancient historical treasure. Some historical treasures and monuments are located in out of the way areas. And so it is not always easy to keep a strict watch on them. Any unscrupulous men or even an organization could steal the treasures out of their greed. To save such treasures, they are removed from those unsafe places and kept in museums in safe custody. The valuable treasures are caught from the smugglers and they are kept in museums so that they are safe. These museums they play an important role as the repository of our heritage and help in preservation. Short answer questions. Now, in these, most of them are open ended and there's not a fixed answer to them. So, I would request you to solve a few on your own. Question number 2. How satisfactory is a museum gallery display in explaining the culture of a people? And for this, you have to give examples from your own experience of a museum. I do not expect you to visit a museum for this. From your past experiences or by visiting a virtual museum from home, you will answer this question in your notebooks. Last one. Question number 3. Imagine an encounter in California in about 1880s between 4 people, a former African slave, a Chinese laborer, a German who has just come out in the gold rush, and a native of the Hopi tribe, and you have to narrate their conversation. I think we don't want to do this question. You can leave it out. Question 2 you will do, and question 1 I will solve right now with you. Other than the use of English, what other feature of English economic and social life do you notice in the 19th century USA? So number 1, the official language of USA was English, and even today it continues to remain the same. Number 2, the capital system of economy, which was prevalent in England, was also established in the USA. Number 3, in the field of religion, both the countries were Christian countries, and like the people of England, the people of America are also divided into 2 sects, the Roman Catholic and the Protestants. Number 4, the food habits and the dress of the people of America is the same, which is that of the British people. And number 5, like England, the system of government in America is democracy, though the system of government in England is parliamentary one, and in America it's a presidential one. These similarities between the 2 countries united them during the First and the Second World Wars. And kept both of them in the same camp. Both the people are like the two sides of the same coin. Okay? Only one long question from this chapter. How did the imperialist powers displace the natives of America and Australia? Imperialist powers, especially Portugal, Spain, England, France, and Holland, they began to displace the native people at a rapid pace after the discovery of America and Australia. They adopted many types of tactics. Some of them are, and then you give points. First point, Europeans defeated the local chief in the battles and occupied their territories. They unjustly treated and defeated, and opposing people were treated very badly by them. Thousands of people were killed, and the settlements were set on fire or reduced to ashes in no time. Second, they made the native prisoners of war and then made them work as slaves. They were compelled to lay railway track lines, to work hard in the fields and factories as slave workers. They were given only as much food as much needed to survive. That was the second tactic. Third tactic, to buy their fish, skins, and other forest products at a very cheap rate and sell them their own products like blankets, vessels, guns, etc., at high rate. So they were exploiting them economically. Fourth, the people of the colonies did not know anything about intoxicating things like wine, etc. But the imperialists not only got high prices by selling the intoxicated drugs to them, but they also made them accustomed to those drugs. This became advantageous to the European people because it made it capable for them to impose their conditions of trade on the natives. Fifth, Europeans occupied the lands of the natives by force, and later on, they bought the lands of the natives but gave them very low prices for it. Thus, the local people were exploited by hook or crook, and the policy, and as a result of this exploitation, loot, and the policy of cruelty, the number of natives rapidly decreased. Presently, there are no natives seen in the urban areas. They have settled off at far off places in deep forests and in hilly regions. Now, they are even scared to come close to the civilized people. Recently, efforts were made to give full rights to the native, just like any other citizen, so that they could join the mainstream of the society. But it is quite difficult to estimate how much success has been achieved in this direction. Okay, so these are all the questions. Next class, I want you all to have two maps with you. One is an outline map of USA, and another one is a map of Australia. I repeat, political map of USA and a political map of Australia. Also, so we'll do map work next class. Okay, with this, children, I end today's class. Stay home, stay safe, take care, keep learning. Thank you.